Okay, well, thank you all for joining the session. As Dan said, our first fully virtual user group and part of a virtual series that we're going to run over the next, well, hopefully week, but possibly months, depending on how long this all lasts. We thought it was still important to get the user group together and discuss latest Salesforce updates and basically at least keep Salesforce momentum going, even whilst we're working remotely and working slightly differently to how we usually do. So this is going to be our agenda, and we don't plan on this lasting more than about 25 minutes to half an hour or so. So I'm going to kick off with a very quick working from home discussion. Dan's going to then speak about the new mobile app and some of the features involved in that and provide a live demo. We're going to give a quick update on what we're planning on doing over the next few weeks. Then we'll finish with a general sort of Salesforce Q&A for any queries that any of you might have about existing products or solutions that you have in place, or any queries that you want answered.
If you have any questions throughout this session, if you're watching on Zoom, there's a chat section at the bottom. So feel free to leave any questions. Our team are monitoring them, and at the end, we'll hopefully manage to answer them. If you're watching on YouTube, which I can see some people are now, there's a live chat window on the right. So feel free to leave any questions there for us, and we will also answer them at the end. So we're monitoring both channels.
Okay. So yeah, I'm going to kick off with a quick working from home overview. Obviously, we've all been sort of thrown into this scenario where some businesses have begun working from home, others are still in the workplace at the moment, but it looks like it might be heading that way. And it's new for a lot of us. So I wanted to quickly go over some of the things we have to overcome and what we should sort of do to make sure we have the best chances of success. So often we have to overcome distractions. So we all remember the BBC interview where the gentleman's very excitable children all ran in and caught him mid-interview. And one of the things we have to overcome is finding a space that is going to be conducive to useful remote working. And that might become very tricky over the next few weeks with school closures and what have you, but it's important to have this space, and rather than attempting to fit work alongside the life happening around you. It can be very easy to lose a sense of routine, and advice is to sort of get up at the same time and act as normally as you would if you were preparing to go to your normal workplace. And so we might dress more casually than we normally would, but trying to go through that normal routine is important rather than simply setting the alarm for 8:59. Try and break at the same sort of times each day, to have your lunch at some similar times, and get away from your screens for a bit. Technology problems is a very normal one. In fact, I've had to sort of run speed tests this morning, but hopefully a lot of these fears at least in the channel lines have been overcome by JT's sort of generous upgrading of the broadband speeds. But elsewhere this might be an issue, and broadband speeds around you might be slow due to the concentration of users who are suddenly sort of using their broadband during the day when they normally be at work. So things like 4G routers might help, or even hotspotting in places where broadband's weak. In terms of technology, there's lots of great offers at the moment of free and cheap technology that make your team, so that your team can sort of make the most of in order to continue to collaborate. We'll come back to these in a moment, but some of them include things like Zoom, that I know Dan's going to talk a little bit more about in a moment, which is what we're using today. And another one we're going to talk about is Quip, which Salesforce have made free for the next 6 months. Isolation. Keep in regular contact with your colleagues. I had 6 different video calls yesterday, and it seemed that people are very, very happy to have someone to talk to at the moment. So actually, you can sort of use the situation to your advantage and possibly have more quality conversations with people than they normally have time for. But if you're working alone, you're at home, and it does get a bit lonely without having a team around you. So I'd suggest sort of make sure you have regular meetups with your team and have virtual coffee breaks or whatever it is you need. But it's important that we maintain contact. And finally, a work setup. Try and find a comfortable setup that is as similar to your normal work setup as possible. Not like the chap in the picture who's working from his bed. So what are we doing at Comnexa? Well, we're starting every morning with a daily virtual team huddle where we have all of our team get on a video call. Obviously, depending on the size of your business, you might want to break that down by divisions or by sub-teams. But we find it's a really useful start to our day. So we schedule that in every morning. It's something that we actually did before this as well, and we do it physically and have our remote team calling in as well. We go over 4 questions each morning, which is what I did yesterday, what I'm doing today and tomorrow, new commercial opportunities, and are there any roadblocks that I need help overcoming. And then we're constantly checking in with each other throughout the day. So if there's anything anyone's struggling with, we have we can use the same daily huddle link that we have in the morning to tune in on, and simply jump on it and share questions, share problems with each other. We're using Salesforce, so it's as simple as it sounds. Obviously, we use it anyway, but logging our latest opportunities in there, it's important that the team go into it and check where the rest of us have got to with new commercial opportunities, who has been contacted, which opportunities are moving throughout the pipeline, and it's a good instigator for the conversation in that daily huddle. We are, as I mentioned before, using Zoom. Other options are Google Hangouts, which is what we used until very recently. Both allow screen sharing and are a great way to work collaboratively when you're not around your teammates. And use video at every available opportunity. Whilst we can have phone calls, it does really, really help to be able to see the other person on the phone. And I've certainly found that when I'm speaking with Salesforce account executives or clients that I'm sort of speaking to for the first time and don't really know too well, it is helpful to be able to put a face to the name, and it sort of helps get over that loneliness issue as well. And then collaboration tech. Microsoft Teams, I know, are offering a generous offer at the moment as well, and that's something that can be integrated with Salesforce. And the other technology I'm going to go over quickly is Quip, and we have a quick demo prepared as well. So Quip is a collaboration system where you can create documents, spreadsheets, slides. You can have a chat room. You can have a folder. One thing that we use when using Quip is we use it to conduct sessions when we're doing requirements gathering sessions with clients. We use it for taking notes, but it's a really useful document when more than one of us is in a session. So if I'm talking like I am now, if I'm speaking to a client and discussing requirements with them, and Dan's listening, he can take notes, and then when he starts speaking, I can log into the document and I can begin to take notes. So yeah, he's put in a table there. I can go at Dan. Can you continue? Can't spell. Continue to take notes, please. He's even put a Kanban chart for me as well. I can also bring other members of our team into it. So let's say at Axel, can you add your thoughts? You can also mention, or as Dan was doing in the chat there, leave questions, smileys, what have you. I've said to Dan, can you check this? And he can like it to acknowledge that he's read it.
We can also link Quip documents with records in Salesforce. So you see at the bottom here, we have Acme Corp Inc. We can actually mention any record. So we can mention any opportunity, we can mention any account, we can pull in the fields from Salesforce. And if our colleagues update that opportunity or they update the fields we have stored against records in Salesforce, it will actually update live in Quip. So we can have a two-way integration between Salesforce and Quip, which is pretty cool.
And whilst this document is a little bit of a mess, because we're just using it as an example, tidier documents can be exported to be PDFs as well, or into Word. So whilst you're using this as a note gathering and a collaborative document that everybody can chip into, or like Axel's doing now, you can make tidier documents and export it to a system that you can then use to circulate to a wider team in a neater fashion. Okay, so I'm going to return to my PowerPoint. And now I'm going to hand over to Dan, who is going to discuss the mobile app.
Thank you, Phil. So as some of you may have seen, Salesforce is rolling out its new mobile app. So some people it's probably been enabled for. If it hasn't been enabled, there's a little bit of work we can do to enable it for you. I just wanted to talk through some of the key features that are now available in the mobile app. And then I'm actually going to demo it live from my phone, but on this technology, and we'll see how that works out. So Salesforce and Apple partnered last year at Dreamforce. Apple have been helping Salesforce redesign their mobile apps, and there's quite a lot of new, very cool features. We now have full integration with Siri, for example. So it's a little bit of a gimmick, but you can go, for example, hey Siri, when's my next meeting? And if you have a meeting in Salesforce, Siri will say to you in an audio format when the next meeting is and pull off a few key bits of information. We also have, so on the Apple app, Apple have this technology called handoff, which essentially means if you're using the mobile app and you ended up somewhere, if you then use any other version of Salesforce, you will end up in the same place. So any records that you viewed on the app, any menu items that you looked at, that will all be replicated in the web version, for example. And Salesforce have also launched Trailhead Go, which I will cover off. So you probably know Salesforce has a technology called Trailhead, which is an online learning system. These apps are now available on mobile devices. This is very powerful because as we're all having to start to work remotely and things are changing, the ability to sort of learn on the go is very much enhanced. So that's quite cool as well. So what I'm going to do now is try and show you the new Salesforce app so you can see what it looks like. So hopefully you can now see my phone here. So when you launch the app, the immediate thing you'll notice is that the menu functionality is now, instead of being down the left-hand side, the menu is now a full-size menu. The app also carries over all of the apps that you have. So if you've built different apps for different teams, you can also carry these over onto the mobile phone. What's also particularly cool is Salesforce has the Sales Console and the Service Console. These are essentially enhanced user interfaces if you're managing mass things. So if you're using customer service, for example, you can manage multiple cases on the go. You can now use the Service Console and Sales Console on the phone. I'll just show you a few cool new features. So if we open, let's say, an opportunity, to open this corporate pension program opportunity. You'll see the page has been completely redesigned from the old mobile app. We can now view our stage and sales process within Salesforce. So if we wanted to move this along to this stage, we could just hit here and updates live in real time. We can view details, we can access chatter, we can interact with it. What's particularly powerful is that if you're a Salesforce administrator, all these pages can be redesigned using the Lightning Page Designer. So you can actually drag and drop how you want your mobile app to look. And there's much more flexibility. Whereas previously you had a bit of flexibility, but you couldn't actually decide, let's say, what we wanted on this individual page, whereas now we can. What I've also noticed is if we go to contacts and we want to create a new contact, we can now import from device. So what this will do is if I click import from device on the top, it will access my address book on my phone, and I can import the contacts from my phone. So I could select Phil, for example, and then Salesforce Mobile App will fill out all the details that I have about Phil on my phone. And finally, the last thing I wanted to show you, some of you had noticed that there was a limitation with the old mobile app. So if you wanted to view certain reports and dashboards, you had to have already loaded them as like a recently viewed report on the desktop. Whereas now we can view all of the reports that we have created and I have access to from the mobile application. So that's particularly powerful too. So this mobile app should now be available to you. If it's not, there's a little bit of work that you have to do to enable it for your Salesforce org. If you're interested and want to learn more about this new app, please do let us know. So this is covering off the new Salesforce mobile app. This is also available on iPad tablets, and they will also be updating the Android application shortly as well. What I also wanted to show you was Trailhead. So as I mentioned before, we can use Trailhead on a desktop. Now that there are mobile apps, they are currently only available for iPhone and iPad. We can actually complete these trails completely on mobile devices. And what's very cool is because I'm logged into my Trailhead account on my phone, if I then do something on Trailhead on my desktop or using an internet browser, it updates in real time. So there's various ones you can complete. Essentially, you read and learn, and then there's a quiz to take at the end. But all of this can be completed on your phone. So if you haven't already used Trailhead, I recommend you start to use Trailhead. There's actually a new Trailhead section on how to work remotely and how to use Salesforce technology to help you work remotely. After this webinar, we will share those links with you. And then also we recommend using the Salesforce app as much as possible and the Trailhead app. So hopefully I've covered off the Salesforce app and Trailhead. If you have any questions, please leave a question on Zoom or on YouTube and we'll answer them at the end. Back to you, Phil.
Okay, so I'll share my screen again. We also wanted to run over some of the sessions that we're running over the coming weeks as we continue to deliver remote sessions. We're really trying to treat this as an opportunity to speak with clients and encourage them to use it as an opportunity away from normal workplace distractions to consider how well the systems are performing. So we're running a series of virtual services throughout March and April. And these can be either one-to-one sessions with our team or team sessions should you want a training session or anything like that. Some of the ones we're going to run are a basic CRM cleanup. So here we evaluate your current CRM setup, discuss your goals and advise on how it could be improved with some quick wins. Do a deep dive into campaign return on investment, because this is something that we're always quite passionate about, and we talk a lot about with clients, but frequently don't see them do it in great depth. So we'll work with you to improve the way that you measure the success of your campaigns, be it events, marketing campaigns, or business trips. Understandable that a lot of those aren't happening at the moment, so let's use this as an opportunity to set up our systems correctly so that we can start measuring them once they kick off again. Integrating sales and marketing data. We're still encountering businesses who are treating their sales and marketing data as two separate silos. So we'll help you use your marketing data to influence sales activity. Email marketing automation. Let's discuss your email marketing and online lead generation and try and take it to the next level. Dashboards, reports, and analytics. Most businesses still have somebody manually compiling reports and dashboards for their team updates or board meetings, etc. So we'll save you hours by automating reports and help your business make data-backed strategies. So speak to us if that's something that rings true in your business. And then the basics or CRM refresher training sessions. It's easy for standards to slip over time. So we can deliver a virtual training session for your users to remind them of the CRM best practices within your business and the priorities that they need to follow. And we can host up to 100 users online at a time. So we can do big team sessions if that would be at all helpful, and plan those sessions with you to make sure your team's getting the absolute most out of it. In terms of webinars, we're partnering with another Salesforce partner called Rolling Legal, and they are delivering a webinar on Wednesday, the 25th of March at 10 a.m. This will be discussing how law firms can embrace legal tech and digital transformation. They've actually created a legal practice management system within Salesforce so that their lead generation and business development CRM facility sits in the same environment as their legal practice management system, which is when clients have already been onboarded. So it's a really useful system for having prospect interactions and then client interactions in the same environment, meaning that we don't miss opportunities to upsell because we're no longer considering the communications we had with them prior to them becoming a client. And then on Thursday, 26th at 11 o'clock, I'm running a short session on CRM for small businesses. This is a session for those considering a CRM rather than for existing users. So please tell your friends or colleagues if you think this could be relevant for them, and tell them how much you like using Salesforce. And on April the 1st, I'm at 11 a.m. I'm joining the Tech Agenda team to discuss the role of data and technology in implementing a marketing personalization strategy. We're now going to answer any of your questions that have come through. So Axel, can you let me know if you've received any, please? Dan, can we get Axel?
Axel should be able to join us.
So we have a few questions. So the first one is, can you complete an implementation fully remotely without coming on site at all?
Okay, and who's taking that one?
That one's coming from Sheridan.
Okay.
Oh, no, Phil, I think you have to answer them.
I have to answer. Right, so I thought it said Sheridan was answering it. Fine. Yes, in short. So we, using screen shares like this, we can conduct a requirement gathering session. We can conduct a requirements gathering session and determine what your needs are, and then one of our consultants can work with your team remotely like this to conduct the implementation from there. So they can do screen shares with you. They can log onto your Salesforce org, work through it with you, discuss what the outcomes are going to be, and start testing it remotely. From our team.
Sorry, Phil, I've actually managed to get Sheridan as a panelist. So if Sheridan can unmute himself, he may be able to
Can you
explain.
hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah, so based on the question, we definitely can run full implementations fully remote. I actually am fully remote from the UK myself, so I service all our clients based in London and sort of surrounding areas. Obviously, the business is based out of Jersey, so I used to service a lot of the Jersey clients. However, I'm responsible for sort of clients further afield now. Got a few clients in the Isle of Man as well. So that's just a prime example. I liaise with them. It's all about the sort of communication side of things. So as Phil was saying, we've got so much good technology now that basically allows us to communicate anytime during the day. So we're obviously on the cloud with Salesforce. So with the cloud technology, it's easy for us to be able to do things remote. So I'm able to obviously do the configuration remotely, but also with the video conferencing, such as Zoom, such as Google Hangouts, such as also some video conferencing that our clients have, it's definitely possible to do it fully remote. The only time where we would sort of recommend maybe sort of some face-to-face communication would be if there was maybe an extended workshop that needed to be ahead, that needed to go ahead with sort of, and also some training sessions. We've actually managed quite a lot of these training sessions remote as well, from video conferencing and stuff like that. So yes, I definitely think implementations fully remote without coming on site is 100% possible.
Okay, Axel, do we have anything else?
Yeah, we've got a couple more questions. So the first one is, are there any differences between the mobile and desktop versions of Salesforce?
Dan, can you maybe field that one?
I guess yeah. You can do most things. So your users can use the Salesforce mobile apps to complete most tasks that they would day to day. So they can create new records, they can interact with existing records, they can use Chatter if you utilize Chatter, they can add new records, delete records if they have permissions, etc. What you can't do with the mobile app is you can't create new reports or dashboards. So you have to have those created for you or create them on the web version. But in terms of day-to-day activity of your team, most tasks can be completed on the mobile application. It's also worth noting that the mobile app can be enabled to work offline. So this was more relevant when people could fly, but if people were traveling or are traveling in the future, you can enable offline functionality so they can tap in all their meeting notes, and then when they're online, it will sync automatically.
Okay. Axel, is there anything else?
Yeah, we've got one last one, which is, can we roll out mobile Salesforce app to all of our users and maintain permission settings? Is this automatically done when the app is set up on an iPhone or an iPad?
Yes. So if your users, basically your users log in using their Salesforce credentials or using single sign-on, if they then access the app, the same permissions and privacy settings are maintained across all the applications that they use, including the mobile apps.
Okay, I think that concludes the questions. I'm going to finish with a very quick video, which is something that Salesforce and Deloitte have put together in response to COVID-19, and it's a solution they built specifically to respond to it. It's about, I think it's about a 3.5-minute video or so, but it's excellent actually, and it shows how Salesforce can be used in a different sort of sector away from the ones that most of you are familiar with. After the video is finished, we're going to be closing the session. So if anybody has any further questions that they want to run by us, most of you have our contact details already, or if you don't, you can find them on our website, which is comnectar.co.uk. So thank you all ever so much for joining, and I hope you enjoyed the video.
Hello, this video shows COVID 360, an end-to-end centralized solution for corona treatment for patients and citizens at risk. COVID 360 has been created as a joint effort by Deloitte and Salesforce based on Salesforce Health Cloud and Diagnostic Robotics, AI Triage, and Clinical Predictions platform. With COVID 360, you will achieve decreased infections between patients and their care teams, utilization of quarantined medical staff, identifying potential high-risk patients and focusing their treatment efforts, defining COVID-19 care plans by unified protocol and automatically distributing to millions of patients, a secured and scalable solution deployable in days. A government agency or caregiver contacts the corona patient and potential risk of exposure. The message can be delivered by any channel: text, WhatsApp, push notification, and more. Meet Jerry. Jerry has been indicated as a potential corona patient. The text message Jerry receives includes a link for further actions. Jerry clicks on the link and is routed to a dedicated corona self-service portal. Jerry fills out information through the medical AI symptoms collector powered by Diagnostics Robotics. Using this collector and real-time analyzer, COVID 360 can analyze a patient's clinical symptoms and underlying health status, generate a personalized risk profile, and provide next step guidance. With this complete remote digital triage, we can decide the best way for the patient's treatment and achieve monitoring hospital at home patients, utilization of quarantined medical staff, and enabling the patient to be active in his treatment. The data, including automatically generated indicators and medical summary, are pushed directly to the COVID 360 backend. Meet Thomas. Thomas sits in the Medical Emergency Services call center. He gets a clear snapshot and a list of COVID-19 patients, which is automatically prioritized based on a scoring AI algorithm. This allows Thomas to make decisions rapidly, communicate with high potential risk patients, and send them to be tested in accordance with the daily test capacity. Then, he can simply add the patients to a dedicated automated process which notifies them on their upcoming COVID test. Meet Melinda. Melinda is the caregiver coordinator. Powered by Salesforce Health Cloud, Melinda manages hundreds of patients based on daily tasks. Melinda sees an urgent task for Jerry. Melinda gets a 360 view of Jerry's health, starting from the red flags, followed by COVID-19 critical data, and more. Melinda is exposed to Jerry's entire epidemiology timelines, including all touchpoints Jerry had. COVID 360 builds a care plan automatically based on Ministry of Health providers' unified protocol for COVID-19, with dedicated goals and tasks both for the patient and the caregiver. To complete her task, Melinda moves to Timeline View. Here she sees Jerry's touchpoints from all medical and admin staff and reports her task as complete. Based on Einstein AI's next best action, Melinda recommends to check Jerry's household status. She finds out that Jerry lives with his wife, and so she enters her as a potential risk patient who has been in contact with Jerry. Household Map builds a full connection map of COVID-19 patients, allowing to predict outbreak areas. As part of the care plan, Jerry receives a notification in the COVID 360 app to perform a video meeting with his physician. As COVID 360 is a fully omni-channel solution, care teams are able to interact with Jerry 24/7 via any channel and continue to follow up on his care plan. COVID 360 also includes telemedicine capabilities, connected medical device, EMR integration, outdoor medical care, predictions, and more. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody. Bye.